Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be doing another video on revision, but I decided to put it all in a simpler way so I can do a quicker video so you don't have to wait 17 minutes to get to know all the ways to revise, okay? So there are 5 ways where everything is summarized really that you can revise smarter instead of longer, and this is because there's lots of people they just say, oh, I studied for 3 hours and all these things, and they actually didn't study. If you really think about the efficiency of their study, it was about 2 minutes. So it's not about studying for a long period of time. It's actually doing the right things as you're studying that is going to help you in your exams, okay? So here we go. These are the 5 ways. Take notes, time and place, study, active study, sleep, and read, recite, and review. So, going over all of them, taking notes. Taking notes is immensely important and is rated at the moment. Lots of people don't like to write down because it involves doing some work, don't write down notes by hand, and in reality, if you want to study, the best way to do is, number 1, take your own notes and do it by hand, not on a computer. Don't photocopy something and stick it into your book. When you're taking notes, you are putting more information into your brain because you're thinking about, even if it's subconsciously, oh my god, I cannot say today, but even in your subconscious, you are putting the information into your brain. So you need to write them down, okay? And when you're taking notes, write a little bit more, expand a little bit more than what was written on the boards, more than what you saw in the book. If you find out a way to understand something with your, for example, putting an example, you say, all right, this is how this graph works, like opposing to the graph of something else. So add your own bits, which will help you to revise, okay? Now, time and place. You definitely need to have a certain place where you're going to do your revision, where you decide that's where you're going to work. And this is because your brain automatically prompts itself when it meets that place. So we always relate the place where we work to work, right? You always relate the school to some of your friends, certain classrooms to some lessons, right? So you need to have a place where you're doing the revision because that automatically prompts your brain towards that part, okay? Your brain is focused towards that part as well. The part of the time is that you need to have your revision done. Instead of putting revision marathons, is chunks, bits and pieces. You should revise for about 40 minutes is the time that you can stay focused. So it could be 40 minutes and then 10 minutes break, and then other 40 minutes and then 10 minutes break. The time needs to be in small chunks. If you're making more than 40 minutes, the efficiency only lasts for 40 minutes because that's the time that a brain can focus even or without being, disrupted, okay? So that's the time that a brain can focus. So there, if you do 1 hour instead of 40 minutes, you may think that you revise for an hour. In reality, your brain revises for 40 minutes, okay? So have that. Active study. When you're studying, going on and doing some highlighting is not studying, okay? You actually need to understand the topic. Just don't read the things. You need to understand it instead of memorizing. You must grasp the concept, put it into your own words, which means that you are understanding this concept and then putting some examples maybe. Teach it to someone else. And I said that before, get your dog if your parents or your siblings are not available. Get some toy and you pretend that you're teaching to that toy. But it's actually so important that you pretend that you are teaching the subject to someone else. Because the way your information is gathered in your brain is going to be in a more organized and logical manner. And people that have been asked to teach a topic instead of learn about a topic did much better than the ones that were just expected to learn. Because in teaching, there is this part where you need to organize everything. And again, active study, don't just expect the information to go into your brain because you did whatever you were supposed to by reading all those book pages. Draw flashcards, draw graphs, go from symbols to words, get spider diagrams from the mind map or the spider diagrams, write it in a full paragraph, everything you know. From the full paragraph, put some sort of graph or diagram that explains and summarizes that topic. Be active. If you're not active, it doesn't matter if you're working for 3, 4, 5 hours, there's no studying really happening, okay? Sleep is very important, and I said that several times. You should get a routine to sleep and not change that routine even on the weekends, okay? The same with the time and place. As your brain gets prompt to start revising and studying and feel focused at the same time that you're always doing the revision, reason why you should always have that time and place. The sleep is the same. Your brain gets ready to fall asleep or to wake up at certain times, and that's why you should not avoid this routine even on the weekends. Do it temporarily give up from some activities so you can spend those 162 hours that you have in a week to actually do smart revision. The reason why sleep is important is because information gets organized and stored in a longer term memory when you sleep. You actually need to get to the REM sleep so you can get that information in. And there is a huge difference in the hippocampus of people that actually slept after revising and people that didn't. And that's why I tell you, do not revise for a subject on the day. That's not as effective as, revising on the day before and then sleeping a little bit where the information gets organized. Finally, read, recite, review. So that means that when you're taking the notes or before taking the notes, you read information, you then decide what you're going to take notes on or not. Then you recite, you need to put them in your own words. You need to try to get yourself explaining not just how it's written on the book, but with enough detail and keywords that it still gives you the marks. But when you're changing and you put it in your own words, your understanding is improving. And again, this helps already. Even if you believe that you need to read those notes all over again, your brain is already gathering some information. The review is because of the following. Let's look at this graph. This is the forgetting curve. This is the retention in percentage that you get about a certain something that you learned over the days. As you can see, although it can be 100% in the beginning, after 3 days you have a little bit more than 20% of what you learned still into your brain. So the review, this part, read, recite, review, is if you instead keep reviewing what you did a week ago, a month ago, a half term ago, then the typical forgetting curve is going to be changed. Instead of just decreasing all over the place, it's going to decrease a little bit and then goes back to the beginning, decrease a little bit and then goes back to the beginning, and so on. And as you can see, because you are keeping to revise things, the gradient of the curve changes as well. And what in the first review would maybe last 2 days, in the second review is now lasting 3 days, and so on. And after a while, you don't even have to review anymore, okay? Because it's there. You retain the information. So here we go. These are the 5 smart steps for smart revision instead of longer revision. I hope this video made sense. I made it really short, but there are videos with more detail on the playlist. So please go on my study skills or learning information playlists, and you will see lots of videos that tell you how you should be revising, okay? Up to my next video. Be happy and healthy. Bye!